Headed to the first step of having a baby. This is the first ultrasound appointment. I'm at the point in my life right now where I really need some good.
You know, everything that we do is through you and for you, and just thankful you've brought us here, and just continue to give us strength and guidance as we go through all phases, Lord.
Before you begin an IVF cycle,
Go through my egg retrieval, which hands down was the hardest part of IVF.
Hope it all works out. Jesus, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray.
So what's happening? I've just gotten in my gear here. I hope you can hear me. I'm whispering because they're right outside. Extremely anxious. I'm not gonna lie to you. Mainly because of the IV. I really don't want to get an IV. I hate needles. Just not a part of my ministry. I gotta do what I gotta do. So, let's do this. I'm like shaking. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm shaking. I am like 10 hours post-op, and I'm feeling okay. I do have quite a bit of pain in my lower abdomen. It hurts to laugh, sneeze, cough, walk a lot more than it did before. I wouldn't like, this is more than just like ovulation pain. This is like real abdominal pain.
I had my egg retrieval on November 23rd, or the day before Thanksgiving, and the actual procedure was fine. Like, I freaked out a little bit with the IV, but got that done, and then had the best nap of my life. Woke up and went home to recover, and those like 6-7 days of recovery was the hardest part of, like, physically on my body, was the hardest part of any of the treatments that I've been through.
Here I am. It is Thanksgiving of 2020, and I'm exhausted. I'm extremely tired. I have really bad stomach cramps. I'm nauseous. I'm bloated as all get out, and it's just not going well right now. It's really not going well. I don't feel good. I'm trying to go to the bathroom, and I'm horribly, like, TMI, but horribly constipated, which is a side effect. I'm taking like stool softeners, but they're not really working. I haven't taken enough today, I don't think. My boobs are massive, just from like everything. I can barely fit my onesie. That's the situation. It's definitely not tight underneath. And this is what my stomach looks like today. I just feel so bloated and like full, but not in a good way.
My stomach, it's like when you eat too much food and you can't breathe and it physically hurts to like breathe. That's how I felt. And it was like that for 6-7 days. I was on pain meds.
They have me on a pain medication, which is helping a ton. And I'm also taking ibuprofen when needed. Ask your doctor what they recommend, but they said I could take Tylenol or like an ibuprofen in between the prescribed pain medication. So I'm doing that just to help, because it is quite painful. I'm not gonna lie. It's not like overbearing or too strong, but it is painful. So I had 38 eggs at retrieval, which is great. I was expecting like 20, but 38 is awesome. 27 were mature. 4 were kind of in between, so they're going to wait a couple of days to see if they grow anymore. And then the rest were just discarded. They weren't mature enough. I get a call tomorrow morning about how many were successfully fertilized. And I think how many, like in 5 days, we'll figure out which ones lasted the 5 days. And then out of those ones that lasted the 5 days, they will be sent off to get genetically tested, and then we go on with the rest of that. But I'll get more calls as the days go by. But I am pretty satisfied with the amount of eggs we got. Any words, honey? How did I do today? Hype me up.
good. Really, really good.
What was the scariest part for me?
Nothing.
There was one scary part.
Oh, the IV.
I don't remember what I said. I didn't say anything. I told them I didn't say anything crazy when I woke up, but what did I say? What did I ask?
How long? Like, first, what are we doing here? And how long have we been here?
What am I doing here?
Also, one of the really good things about stems, they call it stems part, the injections part, I took the whole month of November off, which was so key. Like, I'm very grateful that I was able to do that. So I know not a lot of women can do that because they work certain jobs that don't allow them to, but I'm very thankful that my job allows me to, and my team behind me was very understanding. They made it very, very easy for me to take the month of November off. And when I tell you that was like, it was physically hard on my body, like the egg retrieval and the stems, but mentally, I feel like I was pretty good. I probably was the happiest I've been in a treatment.
So it's day 4, and I'm feeling okay. Today's probably the day I feel the best. I can like take a deep breath in and it not like kill. I'm extremely bloated still. I feel like a overinflated balloon for sure. This is the bloat. I'm bloated like underneath here too. Like it's just rock hard. So this is kind of what my body looks like now. Hi guys, here for another update. I know one of these days I'm gonna look not like this during my updates, but I'm still in recovery, still not feeling the best. So this is what you get right now. But I just got a call, and from the 28, possibly 30, there were 2 of them that were kind of waiting around, going a little bit slower. We have 29 that are looking really, really good. We were just having a little praise moment, just saying how happy and thankful we are that the little embryos are growing and they're trying to come play with Quavy, you know. And
we went through got all of the calls about our embryos, and through that process of which were fertilized by my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law was a godsend during that time, like a godsend. She was there from the end of stems through the end of my egg retrieval recovery. And she was a godsend. Like, she did everything. So super grateful that she was able to come to help us. I don't know what we would have done. We would have starved.
If you're about to start, or you're still in the stems portion of your IVF trial or treatment, go buy yourself a heating pad, because it will save your life post retrieval and then your first cycle back. It's like a lifesaver. I was out of like bed rest. I was able to move around and live my normal life for like a week, which was great. And then my period came back. So 8 days after retrieval, I got it this morning. I hadn't felt any like pains or anything in my ovaries in the past few days. I did do some yoga the other day, and I think I went a little bit too hard, and I think that bothered my ovaries, but it didn't last very long. It was maybe last a couple hours, and then I was fine. A friend of mine who's doing it as well, she had a retrieval, I think a day before I did, or a couple days before I did, and hers came back today as well. So for me it was 8, for her it was 10. So around that mark. I know that would be helpful for me to have known, so I'm letting you guys know that now.
So we get through finding out how many embryos we have at the end of it all. Very happy with our numbers, feeling very confident and hopeful, I would say, for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, in a very long time. And still knowing that there's only a 70% chance of this working no matter how many embryos you have, the better chance you have of getting pregnant. And so it's time for the transfer. Time for the transfer.
Okay, so here's an update. I look a little rough. I've been crying, but we just got off the phone with our doctor for next steps, transfer stuff. He just went over you know, what our PGS results were, and again, like next steps. And I'm crying because it's just like, we kind of had an estimate timeline, and the estimate timeline had us transferring in January, so today is December 14th. It had us transferring in January, like a month from now, really. Like January 13th was the day I think I was supposed to transfer. But he's having me on my next period, so that's not until like January 4th, something like that. He's having me start birth control for 10 days, and then at some point I'll do letrozole for 5 days. So the two of those will be a 2-week process. And then, so January 4th through the 18th, I will be on birth control and letrozole. And then February 7th is now when I'm transferring. And I'm just really upset because, and I know it might not be that big of a deal, but like that's just another month of having to wait. Like I was so excited to get to January and like for all of this to start happening. But now I have to wait again, and I'm a little annoyed because like I could have been on birth control. Like I could have been doing steps for transfer. Like this all could have been happening right now, but I don't know why they didn't like have me do it earlier. Yeah, that's just how I feel right now. And now you guys know where we're at with the transfer stuff.
So you go through the process of the transfer, and they put me on birth control, which was probably the worst thing that could have ever happened to me.
I'm not having a great day, or I haven't been having a great week, really. I'm a week and a day into birth control, and it's literally, it's tearing my life apart. Hopefully in the next month or so, hopefully the next month or so, I'll know that it's worth it.
Because the protocol that they had me on was a month protocol. So it was 2 weeks of birth control, a week of letrozole to produce an egg, an overdrill shot to trigger my ovulation, and then 5 days, I was supposed to do a 5-day transfer. So 5 days after trigger is then when they transfer the embryo, which they have on ice or had on ice or whatever. So I go in for a checkup. I'm in a weekend of birth control, and I asked my doctor if I'm allowed to go back on my anxiety medication because my mental health was plummeting. I don't even know how to explain the way my anxiety was. I wouldn't say I was depressed, but I mean a little bit, but I was just more so like sitting there all day, like doing nothing, having no motivation to do anything. And I'm back at work at that point, so I had to do stuff. And so I went in and I said, is it okay for me to go back on my, is it gonna harm the embryo or whatever if I go back on my anxiety medication? And he said, no, like you can, that's totally fine. But was asking me what was going on, and I told him, and he was like, well, technically you don't really need to stay on the birth control. Like it's just a protocol that we put all of our patients through. And I was like, well, let's cut that. Like, I'm not for this. So he was very accommodating. We have an amazing doctor. He was very in tune to what was going on. He's very reassuring, very optimistic. Like he's great. So then cue the 2-week wait. And this is when it gets a little shaky. So the 2-week wait, I'm feeling fine, very hopeful. During the last couple of years of going through this TTC journey, I just have not been feeling really good about my body. I just haven't felt good about myself at all. And I had been planning this photo shoot to kind of just spice it up. I made a video about it actually. It's already up on my YouTube. It's the photo shoot about me like feeling better about myself, and that was why I needed to do it, because of the past 2 years I've been trying to have a baby, and that's done a lot on my body. Going through fertility treatments, all of these hormones, all of these medications, the stress, the anxiety, the depression that comes from it, my body just was not where I wanted to. It just wasn't how it used to be, and I really wanted to feel good about myself again. On the way back from the photo shoot, I was feeling like cramping, which is normal. Like they said cramping is normal after the embryo transfer, and it's actually a good sign. So I came home, I filmed the end of the YouTube video, and I go downstairs and I go to the bathroom and I'm bleeding. And it's not like good bleeding, it's like period bleeding. And the cramping I was feeling was my period coming in the car on the way back from my photo shoot. I was shook. I had tested a couple days, maybe 2 days after my transfer, just to see if the HCG level was in my system, which it was. And then, so at that point when I went to go test, like the trigger shot was not in my system anymore, and if I was going to test positive, it would show up. Well, I went to the bathroom and I pulled my pants down to go to the bathroom, and I had a bit of cramping before. I was driving home from a shoot. I had a bit of cramping, but I thought like, hey, pregnancy symptoms and period symptoms are exactly the same. And so I was testing out my trigger shot, and then my trigger shot gone, and then I started getting positives, like slight positives. So I was feeling pretty confident, like I'm getting some positives. They did get lighter, that common theme, getting some positives, and then they get lighter and lighter.
Okay, so these are the two tests I took. This one is reading yes, but this was maybe, I want to say like 30 minutes ago when I took it, but that one has a little bit of a thing there. Again, I'm not getting my hopes up because it's been over 30 minutes, I think.
And I ask God every day, why do you want to torture us women who are trying to conceive with having pregnancy symptoms and period symptoms being exactly the same? But I had some cramping, like it wasn't intense, but it was like I'm definitely feeling some cramping. I go to the bathroom, I sit down, pull my pants down, and there was blood. Like it wasn't like spotty blood, it wasn't like blood, like it wasn't just like, oh, it's a little bit of blood. It was like period blood, and I just like broke down. Hitting my period on that day, just go ahead and take a knife and just stab it in my heart. Just go ahead and do that. I was feeling so good about myself that day. I was feeling so happy, hopeful, and then boom. He wasn't home yet. He went to go pick up his mom from the airport that day. And I just was crying. I don't think I stopped crying till like the next day. I found my period came at like 4 o'clock that afternoon, and I didn't stop crying until the next day. And I called my mom, and we just like we just cried on the phone together. Like she didn't say anything, she just was crying with me. And in that moment I just felt like there's so many people involved. There's so many people that are invested. Not so many people, there are people like in my family that are invested in this. It was comforting to cry with my mom. Like I felt like she understood. Like for the first time I felt like, it truly felt like somebody understood, because Cecil hadn't come home yet. So I called him, and I felt like for the first time he understood, or first time somebody understood. And then Damien came home because he was at practice. You were at practice.
I was at practice, I came home. You told me, and then I went and picked up my mom.
But when I told you, like we just laid there and cried together.
Yeah, when you told me, we laid there and cried. Then I had to pick up my mom around like 10. So then I went to pick her up, told her in the car ride on the way back, and then came right back. And then she came in, and then we all were like hugging and crying together.
That was just really, really difficult, because your hopes are higher than my hopes were higher than they were with the IUI. Because we had tested our embryos. We told the doctor to pick the best one, and that's supposed to work. Like it's normal, my body's ready, I've done everything I possibly could, and I didn't even make it to 14 days. And that absolutely sucked. It was a huge surprise. I don't even know how any other way to describe it. I was disappointed. I I was feeling angry. I was really upset. I was really sad. I was devastated, like I said. But then I had to bring myself out of it, because there's some positives to getting your period a little bit earlier than you expected to. So that kind of pushed my next transfer date ahead of schedule. That's kind of how I got myself over it. And then also, like, we have 12 other chances of this working, so it's a positive. Like, it sucks, like, you grieve because that was a little embryo, like, as a little baby, and you kind of grieve that baby, but you kind of just have to keep going with it.
I mean, it was just tough. Just you think the numbers, everything's gonna add up to what you think it would be, better chance. Still playing that, 2-week waiting game. And it was just tough because, like you said, we didn't even get to the 2 weeks. And then just the culmination of the feelings. It's like that's, I don't want to say hopelessness, but just that sense of like, all right, well, do you want to do this again?
It's tough too, because it's like a loss. Like, yeah, we never saw that baby and it never made it, through, but it's still a loss, because like it was as far developed as it could be without me, without my body. It's tough, but in a sense I was just like, okay, on to the next. I'm like, okay, on to the next, but like, gotta keep trying. So this next time going in, we decided to go through with embryo transfer number 2, and it was a very quick transition because I didn't have to go on birth control. I started the next transfer. I started monitoring while I was still bleeding. Just to kind of catch you up in where I'm at right now. So today is March 2nd, and I just got back from my second frozen embryo transfer. So that means that our first try did not work. Emotions are high. Emotions are very, very high. I am a lot calmer and a lot like zen, and a lot just kind of like let it be. Like this morning I had like an hour praise session. I just was giving it all to God, because he's ultimately in control. He knows my heart, he knows my wants and my needs, and so I just basically prayed like that his will be done, but like also like, can your will also be like what my want? Like, can we please just be on the same page? But also I was telling my friend Liz, who's been my support system along with like my family, but she's also going through literally the same process that I am, and so we have that connection. And I was just telling her like, the disappointment of the first transfer was so deep and so heavy and so intense that I was able to make it through that. And I'm not saying that if this one doesn't work, then I'm not gonna be able to make it through. Like, I feel like I know that I am. And maybe even worse, because like, okay, second time, like we only have one more time to make that 50%, even though, again, thankful to the Lord that we have multiple opportunities. But I don't know, I really just, this time I'm trying to be outside of myself and really give it up to God, because that's all I can do. And so going into this transfer was leading up to this next
All-Star break.
Yeah, going into transfer number 2 was leading up into the All-Star break, and it was a very I can't believe how quick the transition was. So I kind of couldn't harp on the failed first transfer. So he wasn't able to be here for the second one, and my mom came with me and my sister-in-law came with me. And I just remember leading up to that day, I was very in tune with my spiritual side. Like, I was very in tune with like God and just his plan for us and for our family. I don't want this to, when I say to go lightly, I don't want this to be taken lightly. I believe everything happens for a reason. Like, everything happens for a reason, and I believe everything is ordained by God. And this whole process, from beginning to end, even the times where I doubted God and like was angry at him and didn't understand, like, I still have always believed that. And this process continues to show me that like everything is ordained by him, and I just have to be steadfast in his plan and believe that. So with each failed IUI, with each failed transfer, it was maybe shown a little differently, but my faith honestly just keeps getting stronger. I don't know how, like, you would think that it would be knocked down every level, but some reason, like, it just meant I have to trust more. Like, it just meant that I'm not trusting enough, because, or not enough, but I really have to trust more because there's nothing left for me to do. There's nothing left for me to do. So I am feeling a little bit more zen this time, going in here just with managing my expectations, being hopeful, but remembering the reality of it, and remembering that I'm going to be okay if it doesn't work. I feel God covering me right now, which is, that's a very, like, in a good way, that's an intense feeling when you really can feel like the Lord has his hand on you and he can hear you, because sometimes I feel like he just doesn't hear me, but I really feel like he hears me, and I feel like he knows I know that he knows my deep wants and desires for Damien and I. So the day of the transfer, my mom's here, sister-in-law is here. I just have a worship party in my kitchen, like, by myself. Like, it was just something for me to do to kind of to ease my mind. I find that, like, listening to worship music really just calms me. Very, very calming for me. And so I was just doing that because I literally had nothing else to give. I had nothing else to feel like I could do to make any of this work. So we went through the process, and I go to the second transfer, get transfers in. He's on FaceTime, and come home, go to McDonald's, the fancy fries. They're supposed to, one of the fertility, like, embryo superstitions is you get some French fries. I think it has to be McDonald's French fries, actually. I don't know if McDonald's made that up to get more business. That's a good marketing plan by them, but if they did, I got the fries, came home, ate, and then I just rested that day. And then a couple days later, he comes back. It's All-Star break, and he's like, let's just go. We had made plans to, before the second transfer started, to just go to away, just go on a trip. I feel like we were kind of bring a little bit of Mexico in, like, just let loose.
Yeah, just go, just obviously try to keep our minds off of it. And yeah, I mean, we had what, like 3-4 days just to go drive. So we drove down like Santa Barbara area. Still wanted to be somewhere by a beach. But yeah, just to get away from here, especially for you, being in the house with all this stuff, you know, on your mind, seeing the same four walls, you know, seeing the dogs. Obviously they're comforting, but, you know, just being able to step away from what's our everyday norm.
I didn't take any tests with me, because I was like, he's gonna be there, so he'll see me testing. But I also just kind of wanted to kind of get away too. So we went out to a nice dinner, and it was the last night of our trip, and came home, and I went to the bathroom and I saw bleeding. And I was like 6 days past transfer. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, you have got to be kidding me. And I'm like, why am I bleeding? Like, there's no reason for me to be bleeding right now. One of the changes I made in the second protocol was I got put on progesterone. which was recommended by a friend of mine. She recommended it that I asked my doctor to go on progesterone, because when I was mentioning that I felt like I had another chemical pregnancy, she was like, well, that could be because your progesterone isn't high enough after like transfers and stuff, or after the certain points in procedures, where that's could be a reason why you're not being able to hold on to the sperm or egg or embryo or whatever. I asked my doctor if I could go on progesterone, even though he says that my progesterone levels are good. Basically, chemical pregnancy is when the baby implants but doesn't stick, so it just kind of flows through. So that's what I think happened, and so he was happy to do that. He said that he didn't think that I needed to do it, but for peace of mind, he said that he'll do it for me. Those are the changes that we made leading into the second transfer. And so my doctor added progesterone on to my protocol. And so when I was bleeding, I'm also in some like Facebook groups, like a Facebook chat group, and I was asking some of the girls like if they were on progesterone, because I was doing suppositories, and they were like, I asked them if they were bleeding or if that's possible, and some of the women said yes. The suppositories can sometimes irritate your lady area, and that can cause irritation, and that can cause bleeding as well. So he's Googling, I'm freaking out, like I don't know what's going on, but like there's no answers, like no one knows what's going on. Everyone's just like, relax.
Yeah, and like my main thing was, I was like, you're not taking any tests. Like no tests, no. And like, not to say I want to say I learned my lesson from this time versus when we were doing the IUIs, but it's like for me Googling and like trying to find research and actually find like the educated like articles and stuff, like I was then telling her, you know, the stuff that I was seeing, whether it was bleeding versus spotting versus, and then, you know, just trying to still instill confidence and trying not to have her feel as down. And then even, you know, knowing that, yeah, I'm a man and I don't know what it's like for when a woman goes through, all the articles and stuff I would send to Callie. And so Callie could also reassure everything that I was saying. And, you know, I'd also have someone that's in my corner, that Sydel, you know, has always confided in, as, you know, she's been going through this journey.
Yeah, and so the bleeding wasn't consistent. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't like the first time. And so I went to bed, got the next morning, drove home, and like my symptoms wise, I felt pretty much the same as I did the first round. So it was really hard to really distinguish what was whatever. So I tried not to pay too much attention to symptoms. And that next morning, he gets up really early to go get a haircut. And so I was like, you know what? I wasn't gonna test. Until I got the blood draw, 14-day blood draw. But I was like, you know what? 7 days past transfer. A lot of the women in my transfer group who transfer around the same time as me were getting positives, or were getting some kind of line or whatever on these tests. Let me just go take one. It's like 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and I go to the bathroom. So I take the pregnancy test, and I'm just like waiting. I dip it. I think it's the Amazon cheap ones, which if you're going through TTC, buy, like, you know, the Amazon cheapies, like they are your ride or dies, because you get like 100 in a box for $20, $15, something like that. Very, very inexpensive. So I did the cheapie, and I just walk away because I'm like, it's not gonna be anything. And I come back, and there's a line. There's like 2 lines. There's the test line and the control line. And I was like, what the F? Like, what is this? And I immediately pick up my phone to call up my sister-in-law, Callie. And I'm like, Callie, like, something's going on. And So while I'm on the phone with her, I'm showing her the cheapie, and you can see the 2 lines. And while I'm on the phone with her, I dip, because I pee in a cup just in case. I've been peeing in a cup for 2 years. Just in case the cheapie one gives me a positive, that way I still have the same pee and I can use the more expensive one. So I get a first response out and I dip it, and a second line shows up almost immediately. What a morning this has been. It's 7 days past my transfer, so 7 days past 5-day transfer, and I woke up this morning really early, like 6 o'clock, after Damien had left to go get a haircut and stuff. And I took a test. So I started with the cheapie test because I figured if it was pregnant, I don't even know how to say this, but I took a cheapie test. I saw that. I've never gotten anything like that before. Even when I'm testing out my triggers, I never saw that. So then I pulled out the first response. So then, freaking out. I didn't have my camera because I really didn't think that there was going to be anything. I swear on everything, I did not think that I was going to have a positive pregnancy test on either one of these. So I tested on a digital. I'm pregnant. I never thought that I really did not think. I know God is real, because even when I did not think that it was going to happen, I had people in my corner that were praying for me, praying for Damien and I.
Hi Sydel. Today is the day that you officially start your journey to motherhood. I want to say that I'm so proud of you. This was so hard, and you're a warrior. You're a wonderful human being. The way you poured into me, a literal stranger at the beginning of this, is indicative of your heart and what a wonderful, loving mother you're going to be.
It happened. It worked. It worked. It worked. We're gonna have a baby. I don't want to jump. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. But oh my gosh, you guys, we're gonna have a baby. There's a baby in here. Mama's gonna have a baby, Clay. Mama's gonna have. Oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you so much. Thank you, God. This is crazy. This is it's unbelievable at this point. I didn't tell Damien. I'll post the video of me telling Damien separately from this. But yeah. Yeah. Your girl is pregnant. And I had to keep it from Damien for like 4 days, because he was leaving for a road trip that night and I didn't want to tell him and then him leave.
Left on Tuesday morning. Got back Saturday night. The only thing I could say was like, yo, you've known since Tuesday.
Which
and you're telling me now.
I'll show that clip later, separately from this thing, but we're pregnant.
Yes, we are.
Wild.
Isn't that crazy?
That's so
That's
crazy.
you. That's you right there. All right. See that movement? You see? There's the head, that's the brain, right up here, and then the heartbeat is right here.
Oh, Jesus. Thank you, Lord.
I am 7 weeks and 5 days pregnant, I think. Today, I haven't looked at my apps yet, but I'm almost 8 weeks pregnant. And it's been Thursday, like 3 days ago, I went and saw the baby for the first time. And ever since that day, I have just been out for the count, like asleep, like literally unconscious asleep for majority of the time since Thursday. I have not showered since Thursday. I am just a hot mess. Like, where is the glow? Like, where is the pregnancy glow? Because right now, it's just non-existent.
What's up, you guys? So I'm just checking in here. I'm literally eating a Panera flatbread because I haven't eaten anything all day. The nerves and stuff from the day have subsided now. I can finally eat, but I'm measuring 9 weeks, 3 days, but I'm 9 weeks and 2 days. We're measuring right on time. And baby's doing so well. I don't know what it's like for people who conceive naturally or like never have really a lot of complications in pregnancy. I don't know what that's like to like go in for ultrasounds and stuff. But going in for ultrasounds and you've been through fertility clinics and you know that things can go wrong and you have that like on your mind. It's very, very hard and scary to do that. Just to go in and with the possibility that things might not be right, but so far everything has been great. I'm just, I don't really have words right now. I'm trying not to cry because I literally lost it in the ultrasound after my doctor was like, okay, like you're graduating, like we're not gonna have to see you anymore. That was really, really hard for me. And it's still really hard for me. Like I'm these are like happy tears. Mainly, like I would say 90% happy tears and then 10% like sad tears because my fertility clinic and my doctor have honestly like just been a dream come true. We went in, Davey and I went in head on, and not knowing a lot about it, we didn't do a ton of research. We just knew that we wanted to have a baby and wanted it to happen the best way and the safest way and the quickest way as possible. And we really put a lot of our trust into our doctor. He got us to this point. He got us he got me to the point of being able to carry this baby and everything be okay. It's just sad, but it's happy. Like I'm very happy too because we made it to a graduation point. We made it to where this baby is measured. The heartbeat's great, growing perfectly. So, anyways. That's all I have to say. It's a little check-in to say graduated from our fertility clinic today. We're feeling very happy.
At times it's like, oh no, it's not to say it's unbelievable, something that we couldn't imagine because it's something that we've always wanted, but just laying in bed and rolling over and rubbing her stomach and knowing that there's a baby in there that, you know, is gonna be ours it's dope. I mean, I know I'll be the best father that I can be. You know, the morals that my mom, aunt, grandparents, uncle, you know, have instilled in me, my friends that are dads, my family members that are dads, coaches, father figures, all that, just knowing all the things and the morals that they've instilled in me is what's gonna bring me the most joy. The laughs, the cries, the pain that she's gone through, the pain that she will go through, just everything, just trying to make sure that I'm present every step of the way. This journey's been long. It's brought us closer together. My mom, well, not my mom, but I heard this before, and then my mom's also said it as well, is, you know, when good things are happening, you know, to your friends and everyone around you, and the joy that you have for them is great, but that just means that God's in the neighborhood, and, you know, as long as you continue to have faith like we've had, you continue to pray, and, continue to do what's right. It's only a matter of time till he knocks on your door. So
I finally got some like real ultrasound pictures today. This is like real, like getting the actual thingy here is so real. So it's a little bugger. It's growing, looking good. It was measuring right on time. It was measuring at 10 weeks, but I think this says 9 weeks, which is fine. It's like literally on point.
But yeah, we're excited. We're super excited. Very happy. Still can't believe it. We did it, y'all.
yeah,
We did it, y'all.
sir.
We're filming this, I'm 14 weeks. But by the time this comes out, I should be 17 or 18 weeks. So my bump will look much different by then.
Y'all ain't get to see my full smile. My full smile on that. Well, hopefully soon.
I'm gonna post the video. It's gonna be its own separate video. All right. Well, we're out.
Y'all be cool like how y'all be cool.